Alright, so we're working on more of the Ansar Palace project. You might see me in other video segments where I'm looking kind of rough around the edges in other people's videos. That's because, I wasn't all showered up and cleaned up while I'm working on stuff, okay? It's welding and carpentry and all that kind of stuff. So we're making more progress on this thing. I'll give you a little interior view. The other thing is, the guy who's going to end up owning this, my labor on this is all kind of donated labor, right? The guy who is going to end up owning this, I'm making him do as much of the work as I can make him do, which includes the finish work on the wood and some stuff which you can learn the skills for it in a matter of minutes. So what you can kind of see here, and I gotta have the camera held still where I can kind of get a view here. We're going to refinish this dresser. This is something that was found on the side of the road, with a free sign on it with some other furniture. There was some other furniture that was with it that I just didn't have room in a truck to take, and it was restorable. I was thinking maybe we could cut some of that stuff up and use it for trim, but it wasn't really going to work. So this is going to probably just get finished in the same reddish type stain that we're using on this. The other thing I recommended to him, which he accepted, was using a relatively standard stain, so that if you go to redo anything or do additional stuff, you can make it in the same color. Okay, so you don't really want to get custom colors on stain. So we use this Minwax stuff in Sedona Red. So if you want to know what the color is, it's Minwax Sedona Red. It was his choice, his choice. Now what we do is we stain it using paper towels to rub it in, and then use this Howard feed wax. This stuff's really cheap over at Home Depot. It's like $7, $8 a bottle or something, and a bottle goes a pretty long ways. You can see how much is left in that bottle, and we've done the whole interior in one coat. The difference between this and polyurethane, one, it's non-toxic, which means you can stay in here the day you do your finishing. But the difference between this and polyurethane is that you have to redo this every once in a while. So you got to keep a bottle around and recoat it, redo it every once in a while. After you've done this several times, if you say, I'm kind of tired of redoing this all the time, I want to put polyurethane, you can put polyurethane right on top of it. The thing about polyurethane in a small space like this is you got to be able to leave the doors and windows open and then be out of it for like a week while you're letting that stuff cure. And we've had an issue with the exterior paint on this taking a long time to cure because it's a polyurethane based, oil based exterior. Now this, what you'll see behind me, are these Power Roof corrugated panels that are stapled in place. I'm going to do a separate tool review video, but I kind of had the guy, he had some contributions coming in. I'd spent a lot of materials on this, and I said, listen man, how about getting me a staple gun, because you're going to need it for this project, and we're going to pay it forward. Whenever we build up a little workshop for this type of stuff, and somebody's getting a big project done, you contribute something. So he got the 18 gauge staple gun from Home Depot. That's the Ryobi one, for this project, and then of course it's going to stay with the workshop for building more of these, hopefully. So that's been really good for attaching these panels. And what we did was using clear silicone, work around all these window openings to get enough that when we put the panel on, it kind of spooges over to the corner. And then we stapled the panel up. A couple of the staples didn't really shoot through the other side, but it kind of splintered the other side. So we're going to do a little repair work out there with a polymer filler. Not hard to do. So with this stapled up, it was nice and firm. The stapling is what you have to do on thin panel material as opposed to using brad nails. Switching our panel view with now this is actually floor underlayment. It's just that when you get this floor underlayment, it's really thin material. You can kind of see this thin material, and one side is usually something you can finish. This stuff is only about $12 a sheet at Home Depot. You can see how thin it is, but when you staple it, it pushes up and gets right up on there. Now we're going to use a little corner trim here. I told him to keep the staple gun close to the edges because we would tape these edges with this iron-on tape. But you can see he kind of You know, it kind of came off the edges a little bit, but that's okay. We can use a little wood filler on that and hit it with a little more stain. That's the beauty of this orange oil, that if you scratch the wall or something happens, you can just restain, you can add a little more of the oil and a little more of the stain without having to sand anything off. And of course, we're still going to do the cabinet thing. The ceiling is this semi-flexible material from Home Depot, stapled up, but there's going to be strips that hold this. And so it's 4 feet wide. This opening was 4 feet wide, but the opening kind of came in a little narrow. So we got a little bubbling happening here, but that's still okay. And the thing is, it's mostly either metal or synthetic materials up there. We're still going to be pinning wood nailers up on all of this, so that, but these whole walls here, you know, we're pretty fast going up with the insulation inside and everything. This area, because we got to do the window cutouts, we got to do it fit the wood just right for those window cutouts and all that. That's going to be as much work as the entire lower wall. But there's going to be trim and nailer strips on these edges that cover up these staples, and then a small number of additional screws that hold all that up. But that little bit of bubbling, I think, is going to stay there. And of course, the ends and some of that stuff, that's all going to be inside of that little cabinet area. So that's really not going to show when you're in here. And of course, we've got the scavenged flooring from another project this is actually used. So we were able to hand pick, because we're doing a really small area here. And we're able to hand pick that for this. And of course, we haven't bought the door stuff yet, but that's a, you know, pretty secure door. We've got to get another sheet of this that we're going to cut up, put in here. Trimming this off is going to be a little tricky. The reason this came in off of the 4 feet is because we built up the floor a little bit here with the flooring. So that's, you know, the thickness of the flooring ended up transferring here, and it did some trimming. I was working late at night last night working on this stuff. So even though there's a lack of precision on some of these corners, again, there's going to be corner trim all up in here. And of course, I still got to finish that front section there. But we had additional help today. I had another volunteer come out and kind of work on this a little bit. The thing about this material, this is normally a greenhouse material, is it's actually pretty durable. It's not breakable. It's held in with the staples and the silicone. We'll silicone it from the outside, and you know, it's kind of a non-breakable type of stuff. It could be cut but not broken, and reality is, if somebody were to break into that, you see they still can't really get to the door area very well. We put the door latch too low for them to reach. Even if they broke into that, got their arm in, it's pretty secure. Actually, it's pretty good, even though it's a polymer type stuff. Much more secure than a standard car window. You can still kind of see out of it, and then at an off angle, it's more like privacy glass. So let's say you're parked here, you're having sex with your girlfriend or something like that, and somebody's you know, next door, and they're looking down through their window or something. You're really not going to see anything, because as soon as this stuff's at an angle, it's more like privacy glass. And then we still got to insulate and do that little area there, because that's going to be open, so that's still going to get some of the wood treatment inside of there. Because when this is set up as an office, it's like here, you know, you got a nice little wood panel office, you have a nice little wood panel background for doing a little video production in here, and then the desk will fold up against the wall, and you unroll the bed roll from down there, but your feet would still be there, because that's less than 6 foot. Although the guy who's going to be in here is shorter, he's not going to have as much of an issue as I would, but you know, your head would be up here by the dresser. So, you know, a lot of the work upcoming is mainly interior, and that's mainly it. And then of course the door latch mechanism, sealing this stuff off, that's all coming up. But I don't know if you can tell by the noise, that's a very secure, solid feeling door. It's just that, you know, because of the shapeage issues and maybe the curing issues, you know, we got to have it where the latch pulls it shut. This is where some of those staples pop through, but we'll fill that with some polymer and get that on the final layer of paint. Of course, closing up the side of what will be this little shelf area, that'll get sanded. And this is all going to get painted with a different color of waterproof polymer type paint. And of course, another view of the inside. Now this is, except for the little bit of light coming in where I haven't gotten that roof panel on, this is about what your ambient light's going to be like inside in the daytime. So yeah, you get a skylight effect from these windows without threatening the structural integrity of the very top by having any kind of skylights in the very top. Yeah, and so that's what we're talking about. And this is with the rear doors open, but even with the side door closed, let's say with the rear door more closed, it's just not that bad. You know, it's a small. And if somebody was doing this with, let's say this would be to become a child or teenager's bedroom at a place which normally doesn't have that many bedrooms, or a guest room in the backyard somewhere, that's an option for renters because it's a relatively small, unobtrusive unit. You know, it's not very big. And so if you have like a guest child's bedroom or something like that, just easy to do. Obviously we're going to finish a little more trimming up on this and some other work here. Budget wise, you know, somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 build cost. I personally think it's going to hit 15 by the time we're done with the power system, but we'll keep going.